Namaskaram. Welcome to our channel Insights on Life.
So yoga, it strengthens the power of the mind. And the more control we have in our mind, in a sense of the conscious mind, covering or actually controlling subconscious programs that take us off track, the more power we have in that mind, the more power we have in our life to control not just our physiology, but where we are in the world and how we connect with the rest of the world, because it's all through the nervous system. The biology that I teach, epigenetics, the new science, is all revealing that the mind is the ultimate control of our health and our biology. And we've been looking at genes as the issue. It turns out only 1% of illness is related to genes. 90% of illness is related to stress. And what's stress? It's the mind overworking in a sense of fear and just being lost in the world of so many things going on. And yoga brings it into a focus.
I think the most interesting thing is what it shows about neuroscience, neurology, and how yoga has really the capacity to change your brain. And if it changes your brain, it changes your neurology, it changes your nervous system, it changes your physiology. It could potentially change anything inside of you that might need changing or transforming.
The two areas of research that are really cutting edge currently, one of them is neuroimaging, the ability of these large machines that can peer right into the brain activity and look at very discrete areas of the brain and look at changes in brain activity and also changes in brain structure. And what we're finding is that these meditative practices can indeed change brain activity. When you focus your attention, you change brain activity in a very discrete way. Not only that, but over time, you actually change brain structure through what's called brain plasticity. And that means you end up with a brain that is conducive to the benefits and the practices that come along with contemplative practices like yoga and meditation. And you can see changes in the stress system as reflected in the nervous system. And then finally, the other cutting edge area of research in yoga is a molecular biological approach. This is looking at the action of neurotransmitters, looking at the action of actual molecules in the brain. So for example, there are studies that show that a major neurotransmitter is affected after a single yoga class. And there's other studies that show that the expression of our DNA, the activity of our genes, is actually reflected as changing with these practices. And you actually change gene activity, you enhance gene activity that's good for you, things like immune response is improved, and you downregulate gene activity that is sometimes bad for you if you're under chronic stress, things like inflammation. So these are the two cutting edge areas, and they're bringing yoga into the biomedical modern world. We're starting to see that yoga is not just a hobby, not just something that you practice on the side. This is real biological stuff. You're really changing the activity of neurons in the brain. You're changing function within the body at the cellular and even the molecular level. So it's very exciting, and this research is really exploding at this point in time. So it's very exciting to see this validation of what we've experienced on the behavioral level now manifested in the scientific research.
What would be great to see is a recognition in medicine and in science that there's something worth looking at more carefully. So I wouldn't say it's a simple, instant outcome that it would be great if medicine saw yoga in this way, but I think what's really important is that medicine and other research recognises that there's something in here that's worth investigating.
There's an enormous amount that we can learn through conventional biomedical research on yoga. In fact, biomedical research itself is evolving to be able to allow us to peer into the body and the brain in ways that were inconceivable just decades ago. And so as this modern science evolves with things like I've described in neuroimaging, molecular biological approaches will allow us to use these tools to evaluate exactly how yoga is working. And that's fantastic. And that is going to proceed in an exponential way. Every week there's a new publication coming out evaluating some aspect of the physiological effects of yoga or on yoga as a clinical intervention. And I think one area that probably may not manifest in my lifetime is to look at some of the subtle things that historically yoga has been associated with. These are sort of the so-called subtle energies. In the field of complementary and integrative medicine, these have been referred to as energy medicine. There's a number of aspects of yoga that are hypothesized, the flow of sort of internal energy throughout the body. There's these energy centers, or called chakras, that are said to be there in the body that are affected by yoga practice. And we currently don't have the instruments that can really measure this energy flow or these energy centers, if they exist. And that is going to be difficult to measure. But I'm not too concerned about that, because what we're really getting with the biomedical research is what we really need right now, practically speaking. And that is the evidence to show that these practices have real and powerful changes. And they can make people's behavior go in the proper direction for health, well-being, and actually behavior in society.
Namaskaram. I am Shraddha Sadhguru. My question is, I am pursuing science, and when I talk about yoga and doing Shambhavi in my college, people kind of look down upon me, saying, "You are a science student, how can you talk about these things?"
How can you live sensibly?
And so in my first year, I used to feel very bad about it, but then I just left it. Now I have a question as to why there is such resistance in the youth about our own sciences. I mean, Indian sciences have been established by a deep understanding of everything. Why is there a resistance? And is it important that we convert this resistance into acceptance, or at least, tell them not to disregard it without having explored it in its complete sense? And if so, how do we integrate inner sciences into the current education system that is in place? Thank you so much.
See, unfortunately today, we have a constipated perception of what is science or what is scientific. Essentially, the way the science or the scientific process is defined is, something is considered as a science if there is a systematic approach to it, and the approach should be repeatable, and the approach should work not just for me, should work for many people, then it is considered a science. So science is fundamentally physics, but there are other sciences which have evolved out of it. Biological studies are there, psychological studies are there, social sciences are there. So anything which has a systematic approach and is applicable not just to one person but to a larger number of people becomes a science or a scientific approach. In that sense, there is no science which is a larger application except physics. There is no other science, or even physics. There is no other science which is as largely applicable as yogic sciences. It is just that the yoga that people have heard about today is a rebound from the American coast. So they think yoga means wearing Lulu pants and going around, it's a kind of a fashion. No, yoga means this. I want you to listen to this carefully, because this is not something that you can explore in a casual atmosphere like this. Yoga literally means union. What does union mean? The very body that you carry right now. One day somebody is going to bury you or burn you, smoking or non-smoking, we will do it. Yes or no? Either we do this or that. Will you become part of the earth? Hello? How come now you're not part of it, I'm asking? Even now you're part of it, isn't it? You're just a small outcrop of this earth. Only because you were given the ability to be mobile. You lost your sense. You thought you were a world by yourself. If you were stuck like a tree, I'm sure you would have understood you're part of the earth, isn't it? Just because the planet gave you the freedom to move, how stupid we became. It's not just with body, it is so with the entire universe. It is not just with the physical form, so with every aspect of you. So yoga means union. What it means by saying union is, it is a science of how to obliterate the boundaries of your individuality so that you become a much larger life than what you are right now. Either you can live here as a constipated life. When I say a constipated life, constipation means it happens little by little. That's constipation. Hello? Right now for most people, life is happening little by little. You ask them, what are the great moments in their life? They say, when I passed my examination, I felt great, then I was miserable, then I found a job, I felt great, but then all the people made me miserable. Then I got married, it was really wonderful, then my mother-in-law came and she did it. She didn't come, she was there before your husband. She was there all the time, she was there before you and before your man. But like this it goes on, they will count 5 things where they had great moments in their life. This is a constipated life. That every moment of your life is not an exuberant outburst of life, it is once in a way something happens to you. Constipated or no? No, you must say yes or no. Do you want to live a constipated life? If you have to live an exuberant life, the boundaries of individuality have to go to whatever extent. Only then you capture a larger amount of life and you have a larger experience of life, a higher level of exuberance than what you normally see around you. Have you blown soap bubbles when you were at least young? When you were young? Did you blow? Did you blow soap bubbles, at least when you were children? So you got only this much big bubble, but somebody else got that big bubble. Same soap, but somebody blows this big bubble, yours is only this much. Why do you think? Hello? You also have a lung full of air, you also have soap, but one person gets this big bubble, another person gets this big bubble. Why do you think it happens? Because if you want to expand boundaries, what is important is not the desire. What is important is you need to capture that much air in that limited possibility. Then it becomes this big. Similarly, this one. See, my body and your body are different. This is me, that is you. Till we bury, we don't understand, it's all the same earth. But right now, this is my body, that is your body, 100% clear. This is my mind and that's your mind, 100% clear. This can't be that can't be this. But there is no such thing as my life and your life. There is just life. How much life you capture determines the scope and scale of your life. Not how much information you capture, how much life you capture will determine the scope and scale of your life. So if this has to happen, you have to breach the concretized boundaries of your individuality and push it. When the boundaries are dissolved, then we say you are in yoga. If one experiences the dissolution, then we refer to that person as a yogi. Well, how far each individual is going to go is subject to various realities. But at least, should you not make an effort, a scientific and focused effort as to how to breach these boundaries of individuality which we ourselves created? Hello? All your boundaries are created by you, isn't it? You create the boundary and you suffer the boundary. What kind of life is that? If nature created the boundary and you're suffering, that's understandable. You create your own boundary because of self-preservation. In pursuit of self-preservation, you build walls. These walls of self-preservation will become walls of self-imprisonment. If you don't want that, you need yoga. Oh, should I twist? Should I turn? Should I stand on my head? No, yoga does not mean twisting, turning. You can breathe and do yoga, you can walk and do yoga, you can talk and do yoga, you can read and do yoga, you can sleep and do yoga, you can stand and do yoga, you can do yoga in whichever way. There is no specific activity, it's a certain dimension. What is the dimension? Unfortunately, once it goes to United States, they will reduce it into a specific activity and Lululemon pants you have to wear. Otherwise, no yoga. People keep asking me, even yesterday somebody asked me, Sadhguru, how many hours of yogasanas do you do? I said, 20 seconds. What? Only 20 seconds? Yes. Actually, it's true. I do only 20 seconds of sadhana every day. I wake up in the morning, if I sit up, just 20 seconds, I'm done. Then I don't do yoga rest of the day? No, I live yoga because my entire life is to constantly wipe away the boundaries within myself and within everybody else. This is yoga. What we're doing here is yoga right now.
Kindly subscribe to watch more videos. Thank you for watching this video.